I'll sound like I'm on a high horse here relative to some of my academic peers, but we have to change the whole thing because it's broken. Right now, most of us work in a world where most people, even if they're not in academia here, publish or perish. So you're so busy trying to get papers out the door that you're not doing good science. In fact, I have a really good friend who calls it the least publishable unit. It's the least amount of work you have to do to get a paper published. And this carries over into the way we give out grant funding. If you have a really great idea, that might not get you a grant because it needs to be very incremental and set up in a very specific way. So I think my opinion is the system is broken, and we got to encourage people to try for home runs, and we got to not worry about if they've published 10 papers in a year or 3. Because it's a massive problem, and it's a top-down problem. It's really at the highest level, and it goes all the way to the bottom. Because I tell my PhD students, well, if you don't publish, you're never going to get a job, right? So it's literally impacting it at the lowest level, and at the top level. Here in Canada, the way we hand out research funding is basically a publication count. The people that publish the most papers get the most money. And then there's even biases within science. Don't even get me started. I'd love to say I have a Science or Nature paper, but it's a club. And if you don't have the right author on your paper, you have no hope of getting in those journals. Now, that people that work for those journals will probably take great offense, but it is true, whether people like to admit it or not. So I think science is broken currently, but this is where the commercialization and bringing in the private sector, I think, is going to help, because it brings a different mentality.